So when it comes to lead generation, and obviously at the meetup, we talked a lot about a lot of different things. I want to be very clear. You don't need that many tools, and you don't need to do that many different things. I recommend that you choose. I'm going to give you a couple tools here. Choose one. One specific tool or two specific tools at most. Get a process because everything's about data, right? Because as long as you can get data, which gives you the lists that you can then hit, whether that's calling and other aspects, which we're going to talk about. But this does not have to be complicated. People are trying to do all these different things all at the same time, and I want you to choose one fashion, one way of doing the business. That's it, guys. I don't want you to think about all these other crazy ways you could be doing it. You don't need to think about it. I want you to focus on one. Tools that are required. I would recommend that if you're in the commercial real estate business and you want to do bigger deals, again, something like $1 million to 20 million, very regular, all day, every day, hitting singles, hitting doubles in the commercial business. Reonomy is really the only software you're going to need. You're not going to need CoStar unless you're listing properties on the market. And even still, you don't desperately need that unless you're looking up lease comp data, okay? CoStar is the best lease comp data, period. CoStar is not really for data, contact information. It's good for like lease comp data and sales comps. That's probably the best tool you're going to use. Reonomy is probably the best tool when it comes to getting contact information. And that's all you're going to need when it comes to getting data. You can obviously then go through a skip tracing software, batch leads, IDI. There's hundreds of skip tracing softwares. You can literally just Google skip tracing, real estate skip tracing software, and you're going to get 100 of them. Try to find the cheapest one. I don't recommend you spend a ton of money on them. The more money you spend, the more likely you're going to have the more correct information. But again, we're talking cents on the dollar, okay? You should be spending like 5, 10 cents, 15 cents on the dollar to get things skip traced. You might be paying 20 cents at most for a completely skip trace number on top of Reonomy. And if you're looking for more contact information, we also have the ability, if you're looking for big bulk data, we can also offer you, because Reonomy will only offer you about 1,000 exports per month. We can offer you 2,000 to 4,000 minimum for the same exact price as Reonomy. So if you're interested in getting that kind of information or that kind of data, and everything obviously will come skip traced already. But if you're looking for like 2,000 to 4,000 minimum numbers a month, we can set up a system where we can provide you some data. But the point is, you only need one tool. Now that you have the data, okay, we just talked about that. You need some type of CRM system, which every single one of you guys should have. Nobody here should be using an Excel spreadsheet. Just have a CRM, because the reason why I say having a CRM is lucrative is because you need to be able to do a few things. Number one, set a task as to know when to follow up with somebody. Number two, it must have a place to put all the notes and all the information so it can be organized and searchable. And number three, most important, it must have an ability to send out automatic text and email campaigns from your CRM. And if it can't do all three of those things, it's not really doing everything that a CRM can do. And by the way, a CRM should only cost you 20 bucks, 25 bucks, 50 bucks. HubSpot, I think, is fucking free. Okay. Like, it doesn't have to cost you a ton of money to be somewhat organized and create a business. Now, obviously, look, if you don't want to spend any money, spend zero money and use like Google Sheets or something, totally fine. But once you close your first deal, get the fuck out of Google Sheets, right? Like, or Excel or whatever, right? Like, I respect doing it at the very beginning, but over time, it's just not sustainable. Very important, because this is the point where I want everyone paying attention. Everybody sees me doing cold calling. That's one of the big things that I do to generate leads, okay? But I'm going to give you 4 today that you can focus on. I'm not telling you that cold calling is the only way. I will never tell you that cold calling is the only way to generate leads, because that would be a lie. I choose to do one of 4 different tactics. Now, I also do a lot of other things because I make I make great money, so I can spend money however I choose to spend it. But we do one thing really, really well, and I recommend all of you do one thing really, really well until you make a bunch of money, and then you can take your money and you can invest it in other ways of generating leads. Does that make sense? Right? You don't just do all 4 things all at the beginning, because then you're going to be in 4 different places. You're not going to do any of them well, right? It's like trying to play 4 instruments really, really well. Right? Choose one, do it unbelievably well, and become the best in the world at that one thing. And then if you want to fuck around with other instruments, do your thing. Okay? So let's talk about these 4. Starting off with cold calling. Okay? Obviously, we all are aware of it. I don't need to spend much time on it, but cold calling, very simplistic. You can use an auto dialer, call tools, Mojo Sells, Vulcan 7, RedX, Ready Mode. I mean, there are so many different dialers that you can use. Zen dialer and all that stuff. There's so many different dialers that you can use. I recommend using a dialer. You don't need to spend a ton of money on a dialer. The point is, I would recommend you use one so you don't have to hand dial. Obviously, if you don't want to spend any money, you want to keep it as affordable as possible, 100%, hand dial your fucking face off, right? God bless, okay? But you take the data you got, you go through a dialer, that's cold calling. Next is cold one to many, because that was cold calling is cold one to one. Now we're going to do cold one to many. There's only so many ways to do this. This involves cold emailing, cold mailers, right? Sending out a bunch of mailers, any type of paid advertisements, cold texting. Any one of those four aspects is part of cold one to many. Now, obviously, the only thing with cold calling is like a medium to low cost lead generation tactic. Cold one to many is typically one of the most expensive all out of all of these. However, it is the one that will probably create the most inbound opportunities for you. Okay, so it costs the most. Personally, effort on yours is probably pretty low because cold calling, you have to do it yourself, right? Which, by the way, for cold calling, a lot of people are asking about VAs. I don't recommend that you have VAs cold calling for you. Because imagine if you had a VA that was calling somebody who had a $100 million deal. Would you rely on somebody that you pay $4 an hour to speak with somebody who has a $100 million deal and to speak appropriately? I wouldn't. So I recommend you cold call. You are the lead producer. You are the main person, right? You do the lead generation. So for cold one to many, cold texting, cold emailing, mailers, and paid advertisements of any sort. You're going to spend the most money, but you're going to get the most inbound opportunity. Now, again, I have friends of mine who spend between $50,000 a month and $500,000 a month who absolutely fucking crush, okay, in the cold marketing world. And they did not start spending that much money, but they did get to that point because they started reinvesting. So I highly recommend that if you have a little bit of a budget and you want to start spending money, you can do things like cold emailing, cold texting, probably the most affordably. And then you can scale up to mailers. And I believe mailers are a very lucrative opportunity. But again, all of what I'm describing to you is not the only way to do business. Again, I'm giving you options. Choose one and go all in. There's many different places you can find if you're interested in doing mailers, paid advertisements of any sort, which is like YouTube, Google SEO, any of these types of paid advertisements, Facebook ads. I can support you with that. Just reach out to us directly via the info@henryeisenstein.com. I can give you any type of referrals that you feel like you need. But again, it's about choosing which one you feel like makes the most sense for you. Now, again, today we do a ton of email blasting. We do about 10,000 emails a week. So we've been doing that for a long time. Texting, we do about 1,000 to 2,000 text messages a day. Mailers, I have gotten away from mailers, but I know some of my partners, like I mentioned, that do something like about $50,000 to $300,000, $50,000 to $500,000 a month in paid advertisements. They use certain, and they do the way mailers really work is that they do 3 different types of mailers, all to the same person with 3 different logos, 3 different business types, 3 different, because they basically do one as like a broker, one as like an all cash easy offer, and then one is a separate company that basically says like, hey, are you looking to get out of financial troubles or whatever that is, right? So it's 3 different emails, all to the or mailers, all to the same person to basically try to see which one clicks with the person, right? But it's not the same mailer to every it's not the same one mailer to the same person. It's 3 different mailers, all to the same person across a 3-week or 4-week period. Now, next, warm sphere and referral-based businesses. There's so many people who are like, hey, Henry, I don't want to make any cold calls. I just want to be able to speak to people I like, right? They want to speak to people they know. Well, here's the thing. You can absolutely build a solid business with a sphere of influence, but here's the problem. You also need to speak to people you don't know, right? Like you have to grow the network a little bit. So I believe that it's very important to realize that if you want to do the referral-based business, you can absolutely make a ton of fucking money, right? But you also need to treat it like a business where every single day you need to be speaking to 30 people a day, conversations with people that you know, 30 conversations a day. And you're like, hey, that sounds like a lot. Yeah, I fucking know it is. Okay. Like, look, 30 warm conversations a day, and every single one of them, you need to be asking for a specific referral. Who do you know? Can I count on you for one wonderful referral? Can I ask you a favor? Can I count on you for one wonderful referral? Somebody who's just like X, someone who's looking to sell a commercial property, somebody who's looking to do X, Y, and Z, somebody who's looking to buy a commercial property within the next 30 days. Can I count on you for that? And you need to ask that question 30 times a day, every day, nonstop. Because what happens is that if you are not doing that, because you're 100% reliant on referrals, and if you're not asking for a referral every single day, the conversation was fucking meaningless. It's like, imagine cold calling and you're speaking to people and you're not asking if they're interested in selling. You're just asking them about how their day is. Hi, John. My name is Henry. I was just wondering how your day is going. I'm not going to fucking do that. That just sounds stupid. So again, with all your sphere of influence, you need to ask them for a referral. That's the whole purpose of the warm referral call. Just like if you're cold calling, you're going to say, hey, are you interested in selling? Right? You have to ask them that fucking question or there's no purpose on making the cold call. So again, 30 conversations a day minimum. So I recommend that every single conversation you have, you ask for a referral every single time. And you can't count a conversation unless you ask for a referral. Then it's a counted conversation because you are reliant on them bringing you the business. And again, that's every day. And if you're wondering like, oh, well, I don't know who the fuck to call. Well, every single one of you are literally, half of you are watching me on it, but everyone has one of these devices and you can literally go to your contacts in your phone. You go to the very, very bottom and you can scroll down and mine says that I have 3,180 contacts. I have 3,180 contacts. So if I call, let's just say 50 people a day, okay? If I call 50 people a day, 3,180 divided by 50. I have 63 days worth of contacts in my phone. Now, obviously, some of them are from all over the place in my life. Okay, these are people that not just recent people that I know, but all over the place in my life. The point is that if you want to build a referral-based business, you call fucking everybody. Everybody needs to know. But you have to treat it just like a business. You can't just say like, I'm going to call 2 people a day. Yeah, good luck in making no money. Next is warm. So warm sphere, by the way, the referral business is warm one-to-one. Now this is warm one-to-many. Now again, this is all how Alex Hormozi talks about it. I thought it was a wonderful way to break it down, and it works for any type of business. So I like it. I want to just give him a shout out. Alex Hormozi talks about these 4 lead generation options. Now, warm one-to-many. Let's talk about it. This is all about social media. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys know I do a fucking ton of content on social media. It's very important to realize like social media is not for the faint of heart. It is going to take you a while to build up some leads because again, like referral-based businesses, you're reliant on inbound, but it's also probably the cheapest way to grow your business, right? Because if you're going to do all the content yourself, you're going to post everything yourself, it's basically free, right? All you need is a fucking phone and, maybe a tripod, right? And you're going to stand and do some content. I would recommend that you do as much content as possible, attracting your ideal individual, right? So if you're looking for sellers in a certain area, let's just say I live here in Miami, so I'm going to talk about commercial real estate properties in Miami. And every video will be like, hey, if you're looking to sell your commercial property in Miami, here are the 3 ways you can increase the value of your property. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, if you're interested in selling your commercial property, real estate property in Miami, and you're wondering what it's worth, here are the 3 ways to figure out exactly what your property is worth. And I can do 100 fucking videos just like that. Hey, if you're looking to sell your commercial real estate property in Miami, here are 3 blah, blah, like here are 3 ways to attract more tenants. Here are 3 ways to increase the value of your property. Here are 3, whatever you're going to do. It doesn't have to be 3, it could be 5, it could be 7, it could be 2, whatever. And you're going to create a fucking ton of content. Every day, you should be recording at least 2 or 3 videos every day, and you should be posting 1 video or 2 videos minimum every single day. You should be putting up story after story, like Instagram, YouTube, all these different platforms, right? We post 300 pieces of content. And if it was your only mode of generation of leads, there is no fucking way on planet Earth that you should be posting less than once a day. And if you post once a day, it's barely enough. And I'm talking across all platforms. I'm talking about YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, TikTok. 6 platforms every day. You can take the same piece of content and you can record it maybe 2 or 3 different ways. One maybe is a little bit more longer form for YouTube, which is more, 5+ minutes, 8+ minutes, right? I think is more the benchmark. I think 8 to 10 minutes is the benchmark on YouTube. And then everything else should be shorter form content for everywhere else. Shorts on YouTube, Reels on Instagram, short form on TikTok, right? And then the longer form stuff you can repost on X and Facebook as well. Every single day, if you're looking to build a business through social media, you treat it like a fucking business and you go bananas. And by the way, I would also treat it also not only as posting content, but you should also be doing DMs, like cold DMs through social media if this is going to be your route. This is for people who don't want to make cold calls, who don't want to spend a ton of money on paid advertisements, who don't want to do warm referral-based businesses, and you want to do everything through social media. You have to treat it like a business. You need to follow those principles. Posting 1 a day on all those platforms, recording at least 3 or 4 videos every single day so you can be pumping out a ton of fucking content nonstop, and you're doing at least somewhere between 20 and 30 cold DMs a day for people you want to be in business with. Guys, like all these big time, a lot of these investment groups have fucking social medias, right? All of them do. You can find them on LinkedIn, right? You can DM these people, direct message them on LinkedIn. You can find their emails, right? Like it's not that fucking complicated. Okay.